All right, now it's 5 past the hour, so I would say let's get going. And a warm welcome to all of you. So happy to see so many familiar and also so many new names in the list of attendants, even if I understand that in some instances the names maybe don't match the persons. But it's still nevertheless very good to have all of you to this introductory webinar to the EHA 2023 Congress. And also I will be talking a little bit about general recommendations and matters concerning other congresses as well in this series of two webinars. Today is the first one, which is about how you can get the best and the most out of EHA 2023 and possibly also other congresses, medical congresses. And then in 2 days from now, on Thursday, the 11th, at the same time at 5 p.m. Central European time, which is, you know, from Stockholm down to Madrid, and 4 p.m. British Standard Time, I will be talking about reading and understanding posters and abstracts, which are the most common ways of presenting information at medical and other scientific conferences. This presentation was put together in collaboration with Jan Geisler, whom you obviously know very well. By way of introduction, my name is Tamás Brecki. I'm a patient advocate myself, even though I'm not a leukemia or otherwise blood cancer or hematology patient, but have been living with other chronic conditions and working primarily in HIV, viral hepatitis, and mental health. My background is in linguistics and in psychology, and I hold a PhD as a social psychologist. My research topic is patient advocacy, patient involvement, and patient education. And I also work a lot as a trainer and content developer with the European Patients Academy for Therapeutic Innovation, EUPATI, and a number of other organizations. And so through this work, I'm in the lucky position of knowing many of you already, and I'm looking forward to meeting the rest of you that I haven't met at functions and conferences or training courses so far. So why do we have these congresses? What are the objectives of these events? And also, obviously, why do we as patients want to participate in this or should participate in these events? Obviously, the most important objective is to enhance the knowledge on evidence-based approaches concerning diagnostics, treatment, and care. Also, congresses are an excellent possibility to access the latest research results, be that clinical or translational research, and sometimes even the basics, fundamental research that is presented at congresses. And it all happens in one concentrated place. Everything is condensed into 3-4 days. You can learn the latest and become updated on emerging innovative techniques, diagnostic tools, risk assessment strategies in hematology, and all the subspecialties that belong to it. But also, you can gain an understanding of certain cross-cutting topics, such as the value of drugs, pricing. You remember, this is a conversation that's been going on for a long time, that value, price, and cost are not the same things. And so it's important to understand how they relate to each other from the perspectives of different stakeholders, obviously patients included, but also about risk, benefit, and quality of life. And one of the most important points or objectives of such a medical congress is obviously communication, collaboration, and networking with medical professionals, also societies, medical societies, the pharmaceutical industry, but patient groups and the media as well. So it is essential that these stakeholders are present in one space for this limited amount of time where they can talk to each other and work together along issues, questions that are important to them. So that also leads us to discussing why we as patient advocates attend and should attend medical congresses like EHA or ASH, the American Society of Hematology Congress. These are obviously the best places to learn about what's the latest development in science and in clinical progress. And not only from the key opinion leaders who are, the leading clinicians, the most important researchers, but also from the second emerging row of clinicians and researchers, the young people who will bring their ideas, their initiatives, present these innovative approaches at scientific congresses, conferences. Also, it gives an excellent opportunity to understand science, to learn about news from trials, from clinical trials. Also, you will have an opportunity through the Congress to inform your members and other patients about the latest findings, about what is good and what is bad research from the patient perspective. And last but not least, obviously, you can also bring the patient voice into the research by speaking, for example, to clinicians or to the industry. At the EHA Congress, but oftentimes also at other conferences, there are sessions that are specifically dedicated to discussing patient advocacy, access or policy-related issues, and a lot more that is maybe on the agenda of patient communities, patient organizations. And a very obvious objective and a very obvious benefit of these events is that you can communicate, collaborate, and network with more than 10,000 participants who are mainly medical professionals, but also the industry, the scientific media, and patient advocacy groups are present at these events as well. One important point I want to make here is that even though this is something we have been taking for granted, in hematology, that patient advocacy groups are present at major congresses like EHA or ASH. This is not the case in many other disease areas. So another a good opportunity here is also for all of us to set an example and to demonstrate the value of such participation and to let this good practice spread to other disease areas, to other medical societies that are maybe not as open and supportive as EHA of such initiatives, like actively including patients and giving them a voice at medical congresses. Now, recently, over the last 3 years, we've also seen an emergence of virtual and hybrid congresses. This particular congress, EHA 2023, is a hybrid one, which means that you can participate in person, but also all sessions, all presentations are broadcast over the internet. And then all the materials are also available online for a limited time period. The limited time period is quite long. As you can see, the Congress platform will be open until August the 15th, 2023. Obviously, there are benefits to virtual and hybrid congresses, like you don't need to travel, which may be an issue, especially for patients who have not just don't have the means to travel, but also maybe are not in the physical shape or are immune compromised, and so they cannot travel. Obviously, you can attend more sessions than you would be able to do face-to-face, because then you can monitor parallel sessions as they go on, and you also have access to all the content that's made available on demand online. And we know from experience already, having seen a number of such events over the last 3 years, that the content is always just as good, just as robust as with face-to-face congresses. Obviously, what is the bad news is that the networking part is a little more complicated, even though this Congress and others offer collaboration tools on their websites or on the app that comes with the Congress, where you can chat to people and arrange meetings, calls. And also another risk is that you simply miss out on the Congress because you're not there in person, and you maybe don't feel compelled to dial in and attend the sessions, even if you decided to do that. Maybe then in the end it doesn't happen, which is not the case when you are there in person. For EHA 2023, there's a huge comprehensive website that's already available with the full program. There you can take a look at the program already now. It is continuously being filled up, so we still have more than a month to go until the Congress starts. So no, you will not find detailed information for every single item in the program, and also the program is huge, so it's a lot of information. And one option is, and you can obviously get the slides then afterwards, one option is that you go to the program by day section, or to what used to be called previously the program at a glance, which is now slightly redesigned and looks a little different. But you can reach all of these through the links that will be clickable once you receive the slide deck from either EHA or one of the participating patient organizations that are represented here today. Now, the Congress is structured according to certain key categories of sessions. So there are sessions which are held in a smaller or larger room where people sit together, and then there are presentations after presentations around a certain topic associated or accompanied by discussions. But there are also just pure straightforward presentations that you can search in the program. There you can also search the program according to speakers. Then you can also search the program according to industry sessions. And last but not least, a very useful feature is that you can download the calendar entries for every single session, every single meeting happening at the Congress, which will then immediately import that session into your digital calendar, and you get notifications, and also that comes with the venue given. So which room do you have to go to? It's a large space, the Congress Center in Frankfurt, where this Congress is going to be held. So be mindful also that you may need time to move from one session to the next. But that actually, I mean, if you have this in your calendar, that makes it a little easier. And I know that it's not available yet, but there will be an app for the Congress, which then you can download on site or even in advance. And use it on your tablet or on your smartphone, and then that will also help you navigate the Congress, and we'll do this calendar integration for you as well. Now, different sessions, different types of sessions. One that is very common and usual is the plenary session. This is usually the opening ceremony, where research awards will be awarded, handed out. The plenary always discusses cross-cutting topics, some key issues that are really on the minds of the research and clinical communities, that they see as of key importance. Now, this is not always the most interesting part for patient advocates. Also, these are large sessions where literally thousands of people may attend. So, as if your health doesn't support participating in a session with so many participants, then you may want to skip it and then watch later online. But be mindful that this is actually the best way to meet everyone in one space, because usually people will go to the plenary also to meet each other. There's one plenary indicated in the program for this year's Congress, and that's going to be on Saturday in the afternoon, as you can see from this program entry here. There's another type of events that's equally important, and you should keep an eye open for them, and those are the satellite symposia. These symposia are satellite symposia because they're not part of the official scientific program, but they are sponsored and organized by a company, a pharmaceutical company that wants to discuss a specific topic or disease. They will talk either about a clinical trial that they have been working on, or some other cross-cutting important issue where they do research. They are traditionally held on Thursday before the start of the scientific congress. So it's like a little bit, it starts already before that, but it's then still, so it's like part, but not really part of the Congress. But these are usually quite interesting sessions. They are often held in parallel to other meetings, if this is happening face-to-face, for example, with investigator meetings, investigators for clinical trials. And they are quite, can be quite interesting and useful for you, because these sessions tend to be a little less complex, more mainstream, more educational, and so they are very good for understanding the big picture. They are based on published data, data which are presented for the first time at the Congress, and then will be or may be shown in the scientific sessions by the individual researchers who have been participating in that given project that is presented at the satellite. I give you a snapshot of the satellites that will be organized this year, and you can see that these are by sponsored, organized by the given pharmaceutical companies working in that particular area or disease. Excuse me for 1 second. Now, another interesting series of events that happens there is what used to be called the educational sessions. These are now called Young EHA sessions. Young EHA is the educational, the capacity building program of EHA, where young researchers who are new in the field of hematology, of clinical and translational research in hematology, can learn more and become part of the work of the medical society. This is again a common thing that happens with all medical societies. Here hematology is not unique. What is unique is this very conscious way how EHA has built up the Young EHA program. These sessions will give you an overview on the state of play. So where do we stand now? What are the most important news in the given disease area? So again, these are good for you to get the big picture, and you're welcome to attend these sessions as well. What happens, and there's a choreography to these meetings. The first speaker will present on basic principles, then there will be a presentation about translational research concluded from the basic principles, and then there will be a presentation on clinical aspects, and then possibly also a discussion, questions and answers. Obviously, you are not just welcome, but encouraged to ask your questions in all the sessions where you attend, and when there's a possibility to ask questions, because that's how we learn, and also because there are no silly questions. And you will be surprised to find how welcoming this environment can be, and that usually questions from patient advocates are very welcome. And so you should use this opportunity, because not just because you may get an answer to your question, but also this is how you build contacts and relationships at the Congress. Also, if you attend the Young EHA sessions, that is already a good basis for more complex scientific sessions, and also obviously to meet young researchers and clinicians, which then will eventually become your doctors and the future key opinion leaders in the field. If you want to learn more about Young EHA, then there's a dedicated website on the EHA website. If you are registered with EHA as a member, then you have a very easy access to it, and you probably already know this through the website. If not, then you're welcome to register, and your conference or congress participation comes with registration anyway, and then you can use all the resources, including the Young EHA dedicated website, through the internet. Now, one of the most important, I mean, the meat on the bones, the most interesting part is the oral sessions, to name another category. These abstracts for the oral sessions are submitted by researchers usually in March, and then they are selected by the EHA Scientific Program Committee. And the best ones, the most interesting ones, where you really find challenging questions and exciting innovation, are presented orally. These are short, very dense presentations, not always easy to follow. So it's recommended that you get prepared a little bit, and I will tell you how. There will be 41 such sessions this year, as you can see, so I could not list all of them here. But again, if you go to the website and click on the program, you can find all of them. Again, we strongly recommend that you attend this, but this also happens even without saying, because there's always this buzz at the Congress. You should listen to him, you should listen to her. This was very interesting. That seems very promising. So go there and listen to the presentations. The presentations are structured around a given topic or a given question, very structured sessions with very little time given to each presenter. which means they must keep it short, with just a couple of slides, and then there's always time for questions, a couple of minutes at the end for questions. And again, you're very welcome to raise your questions. So go walk up to the mic and ask what you want to ask. And then and you will definitely get an answer, or maybe even get some time with the given researcher so that you can continue the conversation about what you think is interesting for you. Another customary format that we've had at the EHA congresses is the scientific working group sessions. These sessions are defined by the scientific working groups, or SWGs, of EHA. These are always disease specific, and but there are also some overarching scientific working group sessions. These this year you will not find them in the program, but they have been separated out into distinct meetings. So if you're interested in the scientific meetings, then again you can go to the website, to the EHA website, click on meetings, as you can see here, and then you find the full list of meetings that are still pending, outstanding for this year, but they will not happen at the Congress, but they happen separately this time. Now, another interesting format, which is especially relevant for us, are the joint symposia. Joint symposia are organized by EHA together with different medical societies like IMS, ASH, the American Society, or EBMT, the Bone Marrow Transplant Society, or even the European Medicines Agency, or the patient community, which I will come to talk about in a little more detail in a couple minutes. There will be some very interesting joint symposia at the EHA. You see there will be 12 of them in total, like the EBMT joint symposium, so EHA EBMT joint symposium on transplantation versus gene therapy for sickle cell disease. You know that sickle cell disease still remains quite neglected, except for dedicated medical societies. Not very many are engaged in this field, so it's interesting to see what kind of development has been happening. Or there's another joint symposium on telomere diseases, again an emerging field of research where we've already seen some truly interesting universally applicable results. It will be interesting to see what is new specifically for hematology. Excuse me for a second. And then last but not least, I also recommend something that's highly anticipated, which is the EHA ASH Joint Symposium on Lymphoma, simply called the Way Forward. So it will be interesting to see what is the way forward in lymphomas. And there will also be a series of 3 joint symposia with the patient community. So with the patient advocacy committee and the participating patient organizations, many of whom are also represented here today. These 3 sessions will happen, as you see, on Friday and then on Wednesday. What is particularly interesting about this is that obviously these, and some of you will know this better even than I, that the patient advocacy track, or this series of joint symposia, is the result of many years of rigorous and dedicated advocacy work by patient communities together with EHA, bringing across this today already accepted and common knowledge that patients have a lot of relevant things to say in terms of research and development, and also disease management, understanding quality of life, and patient-reported outcomes. So there is, so there's a series of topics where the patient community has already made tremendous input into the development of this field of hematology, and these joint patient symposia are then really the pinnacle of this work, where the patient community can present, discuss, bring forward, bring to the limelight the research and the ideas that have been going around and moving in the patient community. These are the key topics for this year's patient joint symposia. So, novel clinical trials in hematology, what about comparators, and what about new formats in the clinical trials? Again, a conversation that has been ongoing for quite some time now, and which is particularly relevant in rare diseases, and a good number of hematological malignancies are rare still. So it's important to understand what do we do with novel approaches in clinical trials. Another key topic this year is PROs in clinical trials in multiple myeloma, where obviously Myeloma Patients Europe will play a big part in discussing or bringing forward this discussion, and presenting where we stand here. Then another topic is from approval to access. So how can you optimize treatments and appraisals? So that's a little bit on the crossroads between scientific engagement and policy engagement of patients. How can you make sure that once a drug is approved, then it's also accessible to patient communities? There will be another discussion around unmet medical needs in the hematologic patient communities, and the lineup is really impressive. Again, as it usually is. You will be able to meet and discuss and even challenge and interact with some of not just leading patient advocates, but also leading clinicians who have been working in the field and working together with patient communities. I could find in the program 2 sessions about distinct EU projects that are active in hematology. One is the Harmony Alliance, and I printed this in red because of my personal involvement in Harmony as well. Some of you may know me as the coordinator of the patient cluster in Harmony, together with Eglis Gonzalez. And the other one is the EUNet Inacron. They also had a presentation last year, which was quite interesting, and they will follow up on that this year again. Another one where even maybe your organizations are involved, and then it makes sense to go there and listen to the presentation. But even if your organization is maybe not involved in either of these, it may still be interesting to see what has been happening in research in hematology from public funds. That's another interesting and relevant perspective, because public funds are ultimately taxpayer money, and you are not just patients, you are also taxpayers. So it may be very interesting. There will be one dedicated poster session this year. Poster sessions are when the authors of the scientific posters, and what scientific posters are, if you don't know yet, then I will talk about this on Thursday, where the authors of the scientific posters literally stand next to their posters displayed in the exhibition area of the Congress, and they will give a very short presentation about what it is that they wanted to show you on the poster, what are the results of their research, and then you can ask questions. But most importantly, you can meet them. You can meet them. You can talk to them. You can discuss with them, or just agree a meeting with them for a later time if it's very very busy. All posters are also available as in an electronic format on the Congress website, and I assume also through the app. And then they will also be eventually published, but it takes a couple of months before that happens. They are also published in Hemisphere. Hemisphere is the scientific journal of EHA, where the full collection of the conference posters, abstracts will be published. So you can then read again and catch up on the results. But it's oftentimes very interesting to go there and look at the posters. I remember from my own experience at scientific congresses, this has always been tremendously useful for the entire community. When we went around the poster area and we took pictures of posters that stood out and were particularly interesting, or scanned the QR code of the poster and shared that with the patient community, with other interested patients, either on Twitter or on Facebook, and then we had a discussion, we had a conversation immediately emerging around those topics, around those posters and findings. That can be very invigorating and very informative, because it creates an immediate exchange between the researcher and the patient community that's usually most affected by these results. So how do you get ready? What do you do? How can you get the most out of the Congress? And here we have divided, and these slides come from Jan Geisler, we have divided this process into distinct steps, and I will walk you through these steps in the next minutes. So you should prepare, prioritize, share the workload, that's also very important, and last but not least, you should also report back. So if you haven't done yet, then please block your calendars with the relevant sessions as soon as you can. You cannot do this months before anymore, because it's only a little more than a month to go until the Congress. But still, so put stuff into your calendar so that you have a plan. As a next step, look at the most interesting abstracts, download them, read them, try to understand what the abbreviations are that are maybe new. Maybe you are not familiar with everything yet that is mentioned there. And then have a detailed plan. Set your priorities. Don't try to do everything, because it will be impossible. And also, so build a schedule, pace yourself. So plan in time for lunch and meeting others, and maybe visit the patient hub if there is one under EHA. There usually is a dedicated corner where patients are welcome to sit down and take a breath. So plan in some resting times and eating times. What is important obviously is impact for your community, right? So that should guide your work rather than presence or representation. That's not so important in this case because it's all a blur. So you should take the most out of this blur, and that should focus on impact for the community. Do attend sessions because that's the core, that's the most important part of the Congress anyway. Please do join the EHA patient sessions, so the joint symposia that I just talked about. And if there are several of you attending the Congress, then make sure that you split up the work, because it may be too much, too daunting for just one person. So it makes sense to share the burden, and then come together and share your knowledge and discuss even. You can roll out and expand this discussion through social media to the extent possible, and also then see how that conversation emerges. To become active at the Congress. So get ready, as I've already mentioned. But when you are in a session, when you are in one or the other type of meeting, then raise your voice, speak up, ask a question, obviously take notes, and also it makes a lot of sense to follow the event, the Congress or EHA, or even the participating patient organizations on Twitter for real-time insights, notifications, reminders, because you will be able to see where's the buzz, where do you need to go, where is there an interesting conversation or meeting happening. And last but not least, do make sure that you report back to the community. Some organizations do this in a formal way, so you are expected to write a formal report about your participation. Some other organizations are less strict about this, but ultimately the patients that you represent deserve to know what happened at the Congress and what is it that you did, and why you were there. And so it is only fair to report back to them. Again, usually what helps is if you translate the findings and the conclusions into lay language for yourself, but also for the patient community, and try to explain why that result, why that outcome matters that you are presenting to them. Now, for this particular event, there is a Telegram group that was set up by already many of the patient community representatives that will attend EHA 2023. This QR code takes you directly to the Telegram group, and so you can join that group and the conversation. I know that there are already more than 40, even more than 45 participants in this group. And that's where then you can continue coordinating and discussing amongst yourselves. So this is for those who attend the Congress. And in case you can't make it this year, or you can make it, but can still be interesting, try to start getting ready for EHA, the American counterpart or US counterpart of the EHA Congress. So this is the EHA annual meeting and exposition, which will be held in San Diego from the 9th to the 12th of December in 2023. This will also be a hybrid meeting. So if you cannot attend in person, that's not so bad. You can still follow the results. And just as last year, this year again, the patient community is trying to make sure that that patients can attend and will receive sponsorships, scholarships rather, sorry, so that they can attend in person, even if not in an unlimited number, but still it's very obvious today that patients have a place in congresses, and it's not just a privilege for us patients to attend these events, but it's also essentially necessary by today to create a vigorous, meaningful conversation across research communities, clinical, medical communities, and patient communities, obviously, as well. So if you have any questions or comments, then I suggest that that you enter those into the questions and answers box. Now I can already see one, right, I can already see one question that is being answered, if I understand it well from what I see online, but this is how many posters we presented in 2023. I don't know the exact number. I don't know, Manon, are you aware of the exact number of posters? I'm not sure if I have found that on the website.
At this moment, I'm checking, but I think it's about 50 posters. And then you have e-posters, and of course you have the abstracts that are still available but did not come to post. So I think it's about 50, but I'm double checking because I'm not 100% sure.
So there's one thing I can tell you in retrospect. I just looked at the abstract book, which is the collection of posters.
I'm getting.
Yeah,
sorry,
there you are.
Posters.
1,200, so 1,200. I just wanted to say I looked at the I looked at the abstract book for 2022, and it's 1,400 pages strong. It's a very big volume.
Yeah.
But it's searchable, so that makes it a little easier. So it's massive. Also, where do I find the abstracts prior to the Congress? You will find them on the website, and they will also be made available through the app, through the Congress app. But I can see that Manon is also typing an answer to that question as I speak. Do you have any additional questions or comments? Maybe the ones that were in the question box have now been answered, but maybe you have something else, and then feel free to type them quickly into the Q&A box. And if not, then of course you can also always reach me on this email address that you can see on the screen. I will also, you know what, I cycle back to the QR code for the for the Telegram group. The recording of this webinar will be shared as soon as just some light editing and whatnot needs to be done, and then the participating patient organizations will receive the link to the recording, and then you can rewatch. And once again, I announce for those of you who are interested that this next Thursday on the 11th, again at the same time at 5 p.m. Central European Time, 4 p.m. British Standard Time, I will be talking about reading posters and abstracts and how can you make sense of 1,200 pages of abstracts and posters if you want to get the most out of a congress, out of a big congress like this one, because this is not a this is not a small event. So anything else? I can see another question that came in. Is there an exhibitor venue where people can interface with the pharmaceutical companies and other stakeholders? Yes, there will be an exhibition area as well at also this year.
To add, there's also the Collaboration Plaza, where the patient advocates have a hub where the majority of the patient advocate groups have, they occupy the stand, and the members of the patient advocacy committee for sure will be representing themselves. And this is within the exhibition area, so where all the pharma is located, so you'll be very close.
Thank you.
And the exhibition area is huge, so as for the Congress, it's huge. Also, the exhibition is fairly big. Yeah.
And there's always coffee there.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. And thank you very much, Manon. Saris, maybe you want to show your face now before we say goodbye. Yeah. Thank you very much for your help in organizing this series of webinars. Also, Samantha from the Acute Leukemia Advocates Network. Thank you very much for your help and support. But also thank you to all the other participating patient organizations, umbrellas that have contributed to organizing and disseminating this information. And if you're interested, then I hope to see you this next Thursday. And otherwise, go there, enjoy, speak up, network, and tell what you learned to the rest of the patient communities, because that's the most important part, that you share the information. Thank you. And with that, goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you all.
Bye.